I remember lying on my bedroom floor, staring up at the white ceiling. My children, mesmerized by something on TV, and surprisingly quiet, right down the hall. COVID had shut down the world. And for the very first time in so many decades, I had no work routine. I had years of experience in healthcare, and I found myself at a sudden standstill. Because after more than 20 years in really high-stress healthcare environments, emergency surgeries, liver transplantation, high-risk mother-baby units, I actually had finally secured a really cushy outpatient surgery anesthesia job, and I believed I'd found balance in my life. But then this damn pandemic, right? Our outpatient surgery centers shut down. Actually, the very foundation of our healthcare was rumbling at that moment, like an earthquake. All of the resources had been diverted to the hospital setting, and I was left suspended in this unfamiliar stillness. Well, at my side was my MacBook Pro. I was on a Zoom meeting, but this time not for work. I was enjoying a mindfulness-based stress reduction session. And through my MacBook Pro speakers, the therapist said, take a deep breath and let yourself soften. But I couldn't. Instead of ease, my body completely locked up. My heart began pounding. I was covered and drenched in sweat. My shoulders were clenched up without my permission to do so. What the hell was happening? I couldn't even take a breath. I really wanted to follow her guidance. I wanted to surrender to the moment. But my nervous system only knew two speeds. It was 100% on, or it was 100% off. Minutes, they stretched. A blink and eternity all at once. And then I heard her voice gently calling us back, and I sat up and I was completely rattled. I had done everything I was supposed to do. I built a prestigious career. I had secured a stable, respectable role. I owned a home. I took the occasional vacation. I had 2 incredibly amazing children after the age of 39. And after a starter marriage, I found true love. Somebody that not only I loved, but I actually liked. And honestly, by all measures, I had it all. But was I happy? No. I was exhausted, I was disconnected, and I was numb to all of my own desires. And most disturbingly, I couldn't even name what I was feeling. The ability to recognize my own emotions, something that in my professional role I teach others to do, was completely beyond my reach. And that's when I heard it. It wasn't in the speakers of the Zoom room. It was within me. You see, some rules are written in invisible ink. They're hidden in conversations. There are unspoken expectations, and they seep into our consciousness so quietly that we don't even notice them becoming our truth. rules were everywhere. How much you should give, how much you should sacrifice, how much you should ask for in return. Not very much. How you must do it all, and I had followed those rules for years without question. And I found myself wondering in that moment, whose rules were these anyway? Were they mine? Were they something I inherited? Were they survival mechanisms? How was I mistaking them for truth? And most importantly, what was the return policy? Because as I lay there that day on the floor of my bedroom, staring at the ceiling, something interesting began to happen. That same mind that had kept me locked in these patterns of shoulds and musts began to whisper something new. And perhaps you're sitting there now, and you might be hearing your own whispers of change. What if being a healer meant far more than everything I've ever been told? What if, just like ancient healers who understood the power of the mind-body connection, we could expand that into what it means to be human in today's world? Now let me share something fascinating from my years in healthcare. Have you ever heard of the placebo effect? Yeah, it's when people who are experiencing real pain stop having that pain because they think they're taking a painkiller even when they're not. Why? Well, because belief changes biology. Belief changes our reality. But there's a flip side to this power, the lesser known nocebo effect. Just as positive beliefs can heal, negative beliefs can harm. When we believe something's going to hurt us, it often does. When we believe our bodies can't rest, they stay tense. When we believe we're not enough, we actually live that reality too. And our bodies will react accordingly because belief changes our biology. And this just isn't medical theory. It's a science of how powerful our beliefs truly are. And I've seen it countless times. Two patients with the same condition and the same treatment with different outcomes. And the difference often comes down to what they believed was possible. And as I delve deeper into this work, I noticed something really fascinating about the patterns in myself. The exhaustion, the disconnection, the numbness. I actually started to see it everywhere. In the eyes of the teachers staying late to grade papers. The executives rushing from meeting to meeting. The mothers balancing a career and bedtime stories. And the entrepreneurs chasing their dreams while managing their fears. And I will tell you that lying on that floor, 2020 March, the beginning of COVID, was not the first time that my body was rumbling, demanding that I pay attention to the silent rules I'd been listening and living my life by. My own immune system had turned against me at 17 with intestinal dis-ease. At 28 with adrenal disorder. At 35 with thyroid malfunction. And at 48 with my third spine surgery. My body was quietly mirroring the unspoken impact of expectation. And nature always seeks balance. It seeks to return to ease, to order and function. And another healthcare thing that I witnessed during the pandemic, society hung banners. Heroes work here. But here's the truth about heroes. They're not supposed to rest. They're not allowed to be human. They're expected to keep giving, keep serving, and keep sacrificing. And I'd imagine that you know part of that story too. The one where being good means putting everyone else first. And see, these aren't just healthcare beliefs then. These are the invisible threads that are woven through our society, and especially for women. Be perfect, but be humble. Be successful, but don't outshine. Be strong, but stay soft. Be everything, but don't ask for anything. What happens when these threads become a web that tighten around us so tightly that we can't even breathe? What happens when the cost of living by these silent rules crushes our own sense of well-being? For me, it took breaking down, apparently, time and time and time again and again and again and again, before I finally saw my truth. My body wasn't betraying me. It was trying to wake me up. Each flare-up, each sense of exhaustion was a message. It was a reminder to remember that I'm not here to be a martyr, that none of us are. And that's when everything began to shift. You see, just as water will naturally return to its source, we too can flow back to our authentic selves and keep our essence. Each of us has this ability to transform, to evolve, and to dare. But first, we have to recognize something crucial. We're not heroes, we're human beings. And being human means that we have limits, we have needs, we have dreams that whisper to us in those quiet moments that we dare to listen. And those whispers, they're not a sign of weakness. They're navigation points, guiding us back to ourselves, guiding us back to what's true, right? Back to what's possible when we dare to question the stories that we've been told about who we should be. And maybe you've heard them in your mind for so long that it feels like your own voice. I'm not good at business. I'm not a leader. People like me don't do that. Or maybe your whispers sound just a little bit different. I have to work twice as hard as everyone else to be taken seriously. If I slow down, everything will fall apart. Or I can't ask for help because I should be strong enough to handle this on my own. These stories, they didn't start with you. They were passed down like old hand-me-downs, woven together by somebody else's fears and somebody else's expectations. And somewhere along the way, they became part of your identity, influencing your thoughts, your choices, and the very sense of who you are. But here's the thing. Just as these beliefs have been learned, they can be unlearned. As you hear my story, maybe you'll hear some of my process and what I discovered, and you'll start to notice something shifting. A whisper, perhaps within you, that invites you to let go of these beliefs, to release them with ease. And this unlearning is something you can begin to do right now, right here in this moment, and it's already starting. Simply by being here in this space, by listening. You can't hear the sound of my voice, can't you? And can you feel your body there in the chair? And maybe there's just part of you that's already wondering, what might be possible if even one of those old beliefs began to shift today? And in a moment, I'll invite you to an experience. It's the process, the same process that I return to often now. And it isn't one about forcing change. It's one about discovering what's already within you. And however this unfolds for you is the right way for it to unfold for you right now, as long as you stay curious and open. So would you like to explore that with me? Would you like me to share the process? So as you sit here, I would like you to focus on listening to the space between my words. And you may begin to notice how some of your beliefs might start to feel heavier than others. Certain thoughts that you have feel more weighty, and others feel as light as if it was a little leaf bobbing down a cleansing stream. And just as you can feel your weight of your body in your chair there, become aware of the weight of some of those beliefs, those stories that you've carried for so long. You might notice that they've been tucked away, nestled within your body. And you can sense how your body is already beginning to settle by just you taking notice. And your body relaxes into that natural rhythm as it does, and with this awareness, you can allow yourself to just focus inward. And if it feels more comfortable for you to focus, you can allow yourself to just take a nice soft gaze, or you can close your eyes. And imagine that belief as a book that was handed to you, maybe a manual, handed to you at a much younger age. You didn't ask for it, it was a book that was simply given to you. And you hold this book there in your mind's eye, and you may begin to notice the weight of that book and the texture. And perhaps you can even feel the heaviness of the words that were written in that book, that were never truly yours. Let yourself just imagine that book as you realize how familiar it is, as you can feel the weight in your hands, and notice how the edges of that book have softened over time from all the times you've carried it with you, held it close and let it influence all the choices you made. Now imagine taking that book and walking into a library, a vast space filled with endless rows of books. Each book on the shelf holding a new possibility, a new way of seeing the world, a new belief. And you know that scent of libraries, of the well-worn pages. It's unmistakable. And feel that warmth of the light, soft and inviting in this space, creating a space of possibility. In this quietness of this space, notice how the air around you seems to hum with all the potential. And as you move into this familiar space of the library, you notice how your body already knows where to go. Just as it knows how to breathe, how to release, and how to return to its own natural rhythm. You don't have to think about it, because you simply know. You can get a picture or a sense, or just imagine yourself approaching that book return area, where the old books that you've been carrying can finally be put to rest. Where you can lay this old heavy book that you've been carrying for so long and feel the freedom of just letting it go and putting it back on that return shelf. And as you place it there on the return shelf, I want you to notice that shift in your body. It might be very subtle, or you might notice it. Just notice a sense of lightness as it spreads from your shoulders to your chest. And you can feel it in every cell of your being. That's that heaviness of that belief that begins to fade, and you're leaving space for something new. So just turn into the library, and it won't take you long to do this, to choose a new book. Linger in the aisles, pick a title, one that feels alignment with who you're becoming. Pick it up and feel that warmth of recognition, that sense that this belief is the one that will guide you forward. This is the belief that's the one for you to carry. Allow that answer to come to you. What new belief would you like to have happen instead? And just trust whatever arises for you. And allow yourself to just take a nice breath in. Inhale. And you might notice what it feels like to already have this new belief start to settle within your body. It's like the water finding its natural course. And it flows effortlessly into every part of you now. And as you exhale, just find yourself gently committing to this new belief. Let it take root in your being, in your mind, and in your soul. Because you are not obligated to live by anybody else's story, This belief is yours. This is your truth, and you have the power to carry it with you. So as you continue breathing life into your new belief that you found today, I invite you to consider this question too. What stories are you ready to return? And which stories are waiting to be claimed? Because sometimes the most daring thing you can do is to close one chapter and allow yourself to return to your own story. And as you leave here today, you might find that noticing kind of a subtle way that old story shaped your reality. And you might become very curious about the possibilities that await as you dare to return to your own truth, to your own wisdom, and to your own power. And as I wrap up, I just want to remind you of this. I don't know how to turn that off. It's bringing you back into the moment. Now every beep that you hear is just allowing that belief to settle in. Because the truth is that healing isn't just something that we do for others. It's something that we must dare to do for ourselves first. For when we do, we don't just transform our own lives. We create a path for others to return to themselves too. So the questions again, what story are you ready to return? And what truth is waiting for you to claim it?